Coronation Street spoilers for next week 14 to 18 July 2025 tease that the peaceful streets of Weatherfield are about to be shattered by the violent return of a fugitive. What starts out as whispers and rumors quickly turns into fear, betrayal and heartbreak as Mick's escape sets off a chain of events that will rock the entire community. Mick's face was already plastered across news bulletins and digital alert boards when Lou's phone rang. The call came early, barely past sunrise, and the tension in Jess's voice was unmistakable. "We need you to come down to the station. Now." Lou's heart dropped. She'd rehearsed what to say for days, ever since Mick vanished with their kids, but the truth was tangled in guilt and fear. She had helped him, not directly, but in the ways that mattered: silence, hesitation, subtle signals that let him slip through the cracks. She had convinced herself it was to protect the children, especially Brody. Mick had insisted it would be a quick reunion, a promise to them, a final goodbye. But she should have known better. Mick never played by the rules. At the station, Jess stared her down with the weary fury of someone who had seen one lie too many. The questioning was relentless. Had she communicated with Mick? Did she know where he was hiding? Was she aware he had taken the children without permission? Lou stuck to her half-truths. "I didn't know," she said. "He didn't tell me anything." But Jess wasn't buying it. Lou could feel the noose tightening, legal consequences, public backlash, and worst of all, the possibility that her silence had put Brody in mortal danger. Elsewhere on the street, chaos took a quieter, more domestic form. Number 6 was suddenly the most contested property in Weatherfield. Carla was determined. Lisa needed a stable environment, and Betsy was growing fast. A bigger home meant structure, safety, a proper future. She saw the house as an investment in stability. Something she'd fought hard to build. Debbie, on the other hand, had her reasons rooted in blood and regret. Her desire to move closer to Kevin wasn't just about geography. His recent health issues, the emotional toll of recent months, it all pointed toward a need for proximity. Debbie believed she could help him more effectively if she lived next door. She saw it as an act of love. The bidding war began subtly, offhand comments, inquiries through agents. But it escalated fast. Carla made the first formal offer, slightly over market price. Debbie matched it. Then exceeded it. The seller, sensing opportunity, fanned the flames. Neither woman would back down. Carla appealed to logic, family, business acumen. Debbie clung to sentiment, loyalty, and a streak of competitive pride that refused to lose to Carla Connor. The situation grew more venomous with each passing day. Old grudges bubbled beneath the surface, masked by smiles and veiled threats. Meanwhile, Kit found himself playing protector in a much more dangerous game. He had been watching over Brody and the other children, wary of Mick's return. That fear became real when Mick appeared near the school. It happened fast. A confrontation. A scuffle. Kit tried to shield the children, stepping in front of them as Mick charged. In the chaos, Mick grabbed a discarded piece of metal, a rusted iron rod, and drove it into Kit's side. Blood. Screams. Then sirens. Kit was rushed to the hospital, his condition critical. Lou, already unraveling under interrogation and guilt, fell apart completely when she heard the news. Kit had been her ally, her friend. The only one who never judged. Now he lay unconscious, and Brody was gone. The police launched a manhunt. Helicopters, search dogs, blocked roads. But Mick had vanished again, like a shadow into darkness. Back at Weatherfield High, the aftermath of the incident rippled through the student body. Sam had been there, too close to the chaos. The reappearance of Mick, the violence, the blood, it broke something in him. Nick had worked tirelessly to help Sam rebuild his trust in people, in routine. They'd finally reached a place of cautious stability. But this incident undid months of healing. Sam stopped speaking again. He refused to go to school. He flinched when the doorbell rang. And he blamed Nick. Hope tried to comfort him, but her patience wore thin. She confided to Ruby that Lily had abandoned Sam during the chaos, running for safety without checking on him. Sam had been left alone in a moment of terror. That betrayal cut deeper than Mick's violence. Nick took his anger to David. She left him. Nick shouted. In the middle of everything, Lily just left. David bristled. She's a kid. They all panicked. She ran. Sam was alone. Again. The argument drew stares at the cafe. Leanne intervened, urging Nick to step outside. The tension between the families began to simmer, threatening to fracture long-standing ties. Amidst the violence and grief, a quieter storyline unfolded between Oddie and Lauren. Lauren, still battling her own inner demons, had started to see Oddie in a new light. After the incident with the spiked drink, the one she didn't remember clearly but left her ashamed, she apologized for her recent behavior. Oddie, ever compassionate, forgave her easily. Too easily. What Lauren didn't know was that Oddie had accidentally caused the episode. He'd left the drink unattended, then covered it up, fearing she'd hate him if she found out. Now, he stayed by her side, growing more attached, caught in his own web of guilt. Their connection deepened. Long walks. Late-night texts. Glances that lingered too long. Carla noticed. She cornered Oddie one evening outside the shop. Stay away from her, she warned. Oddie tried to protest. It's not like that. She's vulnerable, Carla cut in. And you're not helping. I care about her. That's exactly why you need to step back. Until she's stronger. Carla's tone left no room for argument. Oddie, torn between affection and shame, agreed silently. He didn't tell Lauren about the conversation. He didn't tell her about the drink. And in doing so, he let another secret fester. As Friday approached, the street felt heavier than usual. Fear loomed over every conversation. Mick was still out there. Brody was still missing. Kit remained in critical care. Debbie and Carla's bidding war continued, each woman more stubborn than the last. And in the background, Sam retreated further into silence. The fractures were widening. Families splintered. Secrets buried. And the week was far from over. Mick's shadow lingered over Weatherfield like a storm that refused to pass. As the days dragged on and the manhunt widened, the community grew more frayed, more paranoid. Lou, now under constant surveillance, couldn't step outside without someone watching, whether it was the police or neighbors whispering behind curtains. She had become a pariah, and all the while, Brody remained missing. Jess continued her investigation with quiet intensity. She knew Lou was hiding something, even if she couldn't yet prove it. The official story didn't add up. Mick couldn't have pulled off the escape alone, not without inside knowledge. Jess suspected Lou had helped more than she let on. But proving it was another matter. Lou, for her part, was breaking down. The weight of guilt was crushing her from every side. Kit's stabbing played over in her mind like a looped film reel. Every time she looked at Kit's hospital room through the glass, her heart ached with the knowledge that her silence had helped make it possible. And Brody, her son, was somewhere out there with a man Lou no longer recognized. Mick was unraveling, and Lou knew it. The charm, the charisma he once used to persuade and manipulate, had given way to erratic violence. If Brody said the wrong thing, disobeyed, tried to run, Lou tried to give the police something, anything. A location Mick had mentioned months ago. A name he once dropped. It wasn't much, but it was a thread. Jess took it and ran. Meanwhile, Carla and Debbie's feud intensified. Number 6 became a battlefield, not just of bids but of principles. Debbie had begun appearing at the estate agent's office in person, confronting Carla's offers with bold counterattacks. Carla responded by escalating, not just financially, but strategically. She offered incentives, appealed to the seller's sense of community. Even tried to win over Nick and Leanne, subtly suggesting that having her next door would benefit their own investments. Debbie countered with heartfelt pleas to Kevin, urging him to speak on her behalf. But Kevin remained non-committal. He was still reeling from his own recent turmoil, and didn't want to be dragged into another war. Lisa and Betsy, meanwhile, were caught in the crossfire. Betsy didn't understand why Carla was so focused on the house. Lisa did, but she didn't agree. She'd seen Carla's controlling side rear up again, and it reminded her too much of darker days. Lisa worried the move wasn't for them at all, but for Carla's need to dominate. On the hospital ward, Kit's condition finally stabilized. Though still weak, he regained consciousness, and with that, fragments of memory from the attack. Lou rushed to see him, but his reaction was subdued. He looked at her like a stranger. "You knew he'd come," Kit said, voice raspy. "I didn't know when," Lou whispered. "I didn't know he'd hurt you." "But you didn't warn anyone either," Kit replied, closing his eyes. Lou left the room in tears. Jess, waiting outside, noted every word. Nick's frustration with Sam's regression turned to despair. Sam had locked himself in his room, refusing to speak to anyone except Hope, and even then, in short, emotionless sentences. Hope reported that Sam was drawing violent pictures, images of a man with jagged teeth and eyes like holes. Nick blamed David. David blamed the situation. Neither saw a way forward. Leanne tried to play mediator, but the tension had reached a boiling point. Nick threatened to pull Sam from school permanently. David responded by warning Nick to stay away from Lily. It was Hope, surprisingly, who stepped up. She convinced Nick to let her talk to Sam alone. Whatever she said worked, at least temporarily. Sam came downstairs that night. He didn't speak, but he sat at the table, ate his dinner, and handed Nick one of his drawings. It showed Kit standing in front of a dark figure, protecting a boy. Nick wept silently. It wasn't healing, but it was a start. Carla, sensing the situation with Lauren was slipping, arranged to meet Oddie again. This time, she didn't mince words. "Did you spike that drink?" she asked coldly. Oddie's face turned pale. "No, I didn't mean to. I didn't think." "So you did." "It was a stupid mistake. I left it unattended. I didn't know someone else had touched it, but I didn't tell her because I thought she'd hate me." Carla's face hardened. "You don't get to decide what she knows. You're done. Stay away from her." Oddie opened his mouth to argue but stopped. He knew there was no defense. Lauren, for her part, noticed his sudden absence and felt the void immediately. She asked around, pieced together the silence, and finally confronted Carla. "What did you say to him?" Carla, not one to cower, answered bluntly. "I told him the truth. And I told him to stay away." Lauren didn't respond, but her trust in Carla fractured. She had been rebuilding her life, slowly, painfully. Now the only person who had made her feel visible again was gone. That night, Lauren found Oddie on Victoria Street. She asked him to tell her everything. And he did. Every word. She didn't cry. She didn't shout. She just walked away. In the shadows of all this, Brody was finally found. A tip led the police to an abandoned cottage outside Rochdale. Inside, they found signs of struggle, and Brody, alone, scared, and hungry, hidden beneath a broken floorboard. Mick had vanished again. Jess brought Brody back to Weatherfield herself. The boy clung to her in silence. Lou arrived at the station, hysterical with relief, but Brody wouldn't look at her. He wouldn't speak. Jess noted it all. Social services got involved immediately. Lou's rights were under review. Her cooperation, or lack thereof, had endangered her son. Kit, barely recovered, gave a statement confirming Lou's knowledge of Mick's plans. A warrant was issued for Mick's capture, this time with federal support. Posters went up. Patrols increased. The message was clear: if Mick resurfaced, there would be no mercy. Back on the street, the auction for number 6 finally reached its climax. The seller, thrilled by the skyrocketing price, set a final deadline. Both Carla and Debbie submitted sealed bids. The envelope was opened in front of them. The house went to Debbie. Carla said nothing. She left with her chin high, but her hands were clenched. She would never forget the look on Debbie's face, triumphant, but broken beneath it. There was no joy in this victory. Only bitterness. Debbie moved in 2 days later. That night, she sat by Kevin's side, watching him sleep. She didn't speak. She didn't need to. Outside, the rain began to fall, soft at first, then steadily, washing over the cobbles as if trying to cleanse the damage left behind. But Weatherfield wasn't clean. Not yet. And the storm was far from over.